Welcome back to Terror by the Bay. I'm David. Okay. Trump was in California today, and for the next few days, apparently. He was down in Southern California giving a press conference where he was saying that, we get all this, California gets all this water that comes in from the north, and they've got this giant spigot that takes them a full day to turn it off and turn it on. And if they turn it off, then the water all just goes to the Pacific Ocean. But if you turn it on, then it could all go down to Los Angeles. So they aren't limited to 30 gallons a day, and all the barren fields could have water, and they could even pump the water up to the mountains where they're put out those forest fires going on. I told this to my wife, who peripherally works with she in her career she has worked for the state of California with things that involve water and water rights and things along those lines, and she just shook her head. And I told her I was going to call out Nancy, the water chick. So Nancy, you haven't mentioned at all in all your posts anything about the giant spigots that we have. I could picture the Acme spigot between the border of Oregon and California that they have to turn on and off so that the water flows down here. You've never mentioned that fact. You've kept that to yourself. You're a very selfish person. Michelle says, I think what he's trying to discuss is there's pumps that pump water into the water projects that move water up and down, or not up, but down California. And the pumping stations require a lot of power. She was estimating up to like 60% of California's electricity could be used just pumping water. But, Trump's reminds me of my mother in this regard. He knows just enough to kind of start talking about things. He has like an overly simplistic viewpoint of it. Somebody probably told him about these things. They pump water and they could turn them off here, and it takes a long time. And he's got the Wile E. Coyote Acme super giant faucet, 100 feet tall, that has a handle that you have to turn, and he can't describe or express what it is that he knows. He has no ability to communicate information. And now he's also tripling down on Haitians eating pets in Springfield, Ohio, to the point where there's been bomb threats in Ohio over this. I hope to God nobody gets hurt over this. J.D. Vance, Laura Loomer, J.D. Vance, they're all just spreading this garbage. It's amazing the callous disregard. And I would hope there's going to be lawsuits brought about this for putting people in danger like this, and go after all these people. I want to look at Trump's mental health. I wasn't sure where I was going to go with this reading, but as I was describing, I was realizing I need to review Trump's mental health. He just really seems to be downward spiraling here with all this craziness. And, to the point where he keeps thinking that he won that debate, and he looks at these Truth Social polls and Newsmax polls and thinks that, somehow they're legit because they tell him the numbers he wants to hear. The emperor truly has no clothes. So, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist, not a psychologist, not a sociologist, nor do I role play any of those in my D&D group. But for entertainment purposes only, let's look at the energy around Donald Trump's mental health as we go into mid-September. Foundation of the reading is the Ace of Cups, followed by the High Priestess. I don't think he's able to discern reality from fantasy. He doesn't have like the wisdom to tell the difference anymore. The thing with conservatives, they like things very black and white. And it's like as his mental acuity goes down, the black and the white start overlapping, and they turn into gray. And you don't know where to go because you don't know how to deal with gray. But in this case, right and wrong, and they start blending into to each other. So he's lost that dichotomy of right and wrong, black and white, truth from fallacy. He's driven by emotions, and the biggest emotion is fear right now. He's so fear driven, and that fear leads to anger. And I was watching it. Sorry, I'm gonna pull up for a second here. I was watching a TikTok, and I haven't gone back to confirm this, but they were quoting Donald Trump, and this sounds right from the debate, that he was saying that the police shot our people. They shot us. No, they was talking about the one gal from San Diego that got shot and killed. He was identifying with the insurrectionists, basically using the term like we and us. So he's identifying with insurrectionists, not identifying with the government, not identifying with the side of law and order. He's identifying with the insurrectionists. This guy on TikTok pointed out, I haven't heard any news folks point it out. I guess another thing is that listening to Hawkeye Whack-A-Mole now is his name on TikTok. He was pointing out that I guess in his speech he started referring to the immigrants that are caravanning up as leaving their nests. So I don't know if he's referring to birds, like migratory birds, or rats, probably that one, leaving their nests, but he's dehumanizing them because people don't live in nests. This is what we got going on here. Fear and anger. The inability to tell facts from reality. What's crossing this? Yeah, I just think he needs a big lie down. His mental faculties, swords are about intelligence. It's declining and going to rest. He's going to sleep. It just, his sanity is going. In the past, the Star card. He has always been able to, he was a great communicator and he could read the room and really tap into people's feelings, and he used those powers for manipulation, for self-enrichment, but that was his superpower, and in 2016 he rode that all the way to the White House. But that's in the past. His current situation is the Two of Wands. He's trying to figure out a way to get himself out of all the trouble that is catching up with him quickly. And, he's looking around the world. Where do I go? What actions do I take? But he's only got two wands, two things of power, and that's fear and anger. He's down to fear and anger. Those are the only two power sources that he has. Overarching energy is the Nine of Swords. There's a lot of anxiety with him. The fear that he's going to be held, accountable. He can only delay the courts for so long. The courts have bought him time, but again, when you only have fear and anger as your tools with which to work, you're just constantly in anxiety. The fear leads to anger. The anger leads to fear. It's a vicious loop that he's in. And he cannot break out of it because there's no black or white. There's no truth or fiction. There's nothing for him to be on the right side of it. It's all gray. Lesson to be learned is the Nine of Cups. He's never listened to anybody in his life. He just listens to what people have to say, and the thing that makes him the happiest is what he goes with. And then he'll take all the credit for everything that goes well, and he'll give out all the blame for things that go poorly. Right now, he's only got 2 emotions instead of 9. So he's a shell of his former self as he tries to navigate this situation here with, instead of having 9 emotions, he has 2. Outcome is the Page of Swords. His mental acuity is deteriorating. Pages are, it's not the King of Swords, the Queen of Swords, or the Knight. You're going down the ranks here, and you're down to the page, which is getting down to the most basic levels of intelligence. He's working at a very, very simple level at this point. And the reason why his intelligence is simple is because he's not using logic or critical thinking. He's using the Ace of Cups. He's using emotions. He's using his fight, flight, or freeze, his lizard brain, if you will, to call all the shots. There's no thought behind anything. I don't think anybody would accuse him of being a great thinker before, but it's even more basic, more simple. What's going to be the outcome of his mental deterioration here? I mean, it's leading to an emotional deterioration too. He's attacking folks on Fox News. It's like even Fox News has been divided down to like Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, and like 2 other people. Because they're the only ones who blow sunshine up his skirt, as it were. So he doesn't even trust most of Fox News now. So what's next for Trump? Either mentally or emotionally, as we get into the latter part of September. King of Swords. So there's the sharp intelligence. Also my Jack Smith card. I'm just going to do a 4-carder in here. 9 of Cups. The Fool. 3 of Coins. 6 of Coins. My guess is they're going to start upping his meds. Trying to help his mental acuity to get him out of being the Page of Swords and back to the King of Swords. Back to when he had confidence and more emotional control. That's what they're trying to do. Will they succeed in this journey, or are they going to fall off the cliff? Honestly, I don't... If Trump were healthier, if Trump, took care of himself, he slept, got enough sleep at night, ate a balanced diet, got some exercise, the whole 9 yards, this could probably work. They could adjust his meds, dial him in, keep the crazy voices and get rid of the craziness that's around him. They could dial him back up and steady him to the point where he'd be somewhat coherent again. But he's none of those things. He doesn't take care of himself. I think what you're going to start seeing is even his health is starting to be impacted by this. Now, I know Libby and I have talked about the health event. And other than an alleged bullet swinging by his ear, we haven't seen the health event. But I do believe that he's had a lot of little mini strokes. And of course, they're not going to tell us about it. They're not going to talk about it at all. But I just think his health his emotional health is down. His emotional health is a mess. I think he's having a hard time telling reality from fiction. They will probably start. It looks like they're going to start doing stuff with his meds, talking in the background, trying to change up the doses to make him more coherent. But the vibe I get with the Fool card and the 3 of Coins is that it's not gonna last. It's kind of foolish, because if you change his meds, his body can't handle it, and then he's gonna do more foolish things, because it's like his body is so out of balance, so chemically out of balance, he can't do balanced things because his body chemicals are out of balance, his brain chemicals are out of balance. Think back to when you were a teenager and you have all these hormones racing over you, and all the impulse control or lack thereof, and of the sex drive, when all these sex hormones are kicking in that you've never had to deal with before. It's just, you learn to cope, you learn to control them, you learn to control those things over time. Well, his chemicals are just going all over the place. That's kind of that's the vibe I'm getting here, and he doesn't have the tools with which to deal with it. And if his doctor Captain Jackson they can't really dial him in, because changing the chemicals that you're giving him, or trying to regulate the chemicals, they're not reacting in a normal way, because everything's just, all the controls are going haywire. So it doesn't matter if you get one thing dialed in, because there's 5 other things that have gone completely haywire, and they're going to pull, even if you fix that one thing, the haywire ones are going to pull that one back out of alignment again, because you've only aligned one when 4 other things are completely haywire. And so if you align the second one, the first one that you've aligned may get pulled right back into the haywire stage, because it was only balanced because the other 4 things were out of balance. I can't think of a good analogy for it. All right, Spirit, what's the last takeaway here for Carter? Trump's mental or emotional health here. What can we see coming up in the near future for him? The Empress needs nursing. Maybe Laura Loomer's going to change his diaper for him. King of Cups, 7 of Swords, 6 of Cups, 4 of Pentacles. He really needs to take care of his health, and he's not going to. His health is barely holding on, and he needs to drop out of this race. This race is stealing his health away from him. He's emotionally out of control, and he needs to be sitting in a chair, weighted on, like he's in a convalescent home. His mental acuity is he's losing it fast. It's being stolen from him because he doesn't take care of himself. He may never see the inside of a jail cell, simply because he won't be mentally competent or emotionally competent to stand trial or be incarcerated. At least, on the prison system. I mean, the fact that he's an ex-president would complicate things regardless. But, not guilty by reason of insanity, or can't stand trial because he's not cognitive. He's going down that path. That appears to be where he's going with it. No, we'll see. We've got 2 more months before, or 2.5 months before we get to maybe find out if Libby's reading is correct, that by the time he gets sentenced, he has his big health event. She's always tied it to that, and that sentencing keeps getting delayed, which means we keep never finding out how accurate she was with that. I suspect she's very accurate. That's sort of going to be not the straw that broke the camel's back, but the boulder that broke the camel's back. I think Michelle's yelling at the cats downstairs. I like to jump on the table. They get yelled at for that. Okay. Do I have anything else for you? I don't think I have anything else for you. I'll leave you here with this. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, and I will catch you on the next video. Take care.